Genetically modified organisms can be defined as organisms in which the genetic material has been altered in a way that does not occur naturally. The technology is often called modern biotechnology or gene technology, sometimes also recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering. It allows selected individuals' genes to be transferred from one organism into another, also between non-related species.
Why GM foods are made. GM foods are developed and marketed because there is some perceived advantage either to the producer or the consumer of these foods. This is meant to translate into a product with a lower price, greater benefit, or both. Insect resistance, virus, and herbicidal tolerance.
How do GM foods differ from non-GM foods? Foods that are genetically modified, such as vegetables, etc., are modified in such a way that they have a longer shelf life, look better, taste better, and are made with the intent to be healthier.
What are the issues of concern for human health? While theoretical discussions have covered a broad range of aspects, the three main issues debated are the tendencies to provoke allergic reaction, gene transfer, and outcrossing.
What are the issues of concern for the environment? Issues of concern include the capability of GMO to escape and potentially introduce the engineered genes into wild populations, the persistence of gene after GMO has been harvested, the susceptibility of non-target organisms to gene product, the stability of the gene, the reduction of the spectrum of other plants including loss of biodiversity, and increased use of chemicals in agriculture. The environmental safety aspects of GM crops vary considerably according to local conditions.
Are GM foods safe? Different GM organisms include different genes inserted in different ways. This means the individual GM foods and their safety should be assessed on a case-by-case basis, and that is not possible to make general statements on the safety of all GM foods.
How do GM foods contribute to sustainability? Most currently grown GM crops were not originally designed to protect farmland or environmental resources. However, the way that they have changed some crop production practices may contribute to more sustainable land and use in the long term. For example, GM foods have had a large impact on water quality. Water is the principal resource for human agriculture and the major limiting factor when mismanaged. Insect-resistant Bt crops that produce a natural toxin from Bt bacteria has significantly reduced the use of pesticides since their commercialization in the 1990s. The no-till system used to manage pest-resistant GM crops has further reduced the risk of water surface runoff from topsoil.
Pros versus cons. Pros: better overall taste, more resistant to diseases, and more nutrition benefits. Cons: there is no economic value and a possible growth in allergic reactions. Why evaluate the pros and cons of genetically modified foods? The answer is this: the benefits need to outweigh the risk when it comes to their mass production. In some areas that have access to GMO foods, it may not make sense because the resources are thin and people are dying from hunger. Society's views on GM crops. 52% of Americans are aware that GM foods are sold in markets. 26% believe that GM foods don't even affect them. If you eat organic foods, then you probably look like Kenneth. But if you don't, and you eat inorganic foods, then you probably look like me. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned a lot about GM foods.